Shalom Evracha, welcome to the weekly Shiur of Zera Shimshon. It's Yoim Hey Parsha's Teruma, Beis the Chodesh Adler Tavshin Pevav. We've entered the month of Vanapechu VaChodesh Ashenepach Miyagoy L'Simcha, a month that we can turn around every situation and be zoicha to Yeshua's L'mayla Mederech HaTeva. Combined with learning a shtickle in Zera Shimshon this week's Parsha, we will be zoicha mit Hashem to see Yeshua's and see refuas, and to be zoicha to see nisim geluyim, nisim la'aklal and nisim la'aprat, with the great zechus of the Heilige Zera Shimshon. Let's learn piece Dalet, the fourth shtickle, ois Dalet here in Parsha's Teruma, and I think this will tie into Ma'ore Rachmei Shamayim that Klal Yisrael are desperate for in these days. The Gemara Sanhedrin says, Amalei hahu mina l'Rebavo. This Apikoros said to Rebbe Vo the following: the Eibishter is a Kohen. Elekechem Kohen hu. The Eibishter is a Kohen. How do I know that? Because it says in the Pasuk, in this week's Parsha, Yikchu li Truma. Hashem says, give me Truma. Truma is given only to a Kohen. So this proves that the Eibishter is a Kohen. If that's the case, Ki kavrei le Moshe b'may tavel. When the Eibishter buried Moshe Rabbeinu, he became Tamei. And how was he matayr himself? Which mikvah did the Eibishter use to purify himself? Also, this Apikoros gefragt for Rebbe Vo. Fragt Tosfos, why didn't he ask a more basic question? He should have asked, Heich nitma. How was the Eibishter Kaviyachal able to be matamei to Moshe Rabbeinu? A Kohen has an issa to be matamei l'meisim. Says Tosfos, the Yisrael Nikru Bonim Lamakoim. That's not a kasha. Since Klal Yisrael are called sons of the Eibishter, a Kohen is allowed to be metamei to Shiva Karovim. That was the heter for the Eibishter to be metamei to Moshe Rabbeinu. But the question is only, how is he metamei himself? As I state in Tosfos, Frek the Balki Kohen de Yoir, if the Eibishter is a Kohen, it's not a shaila which type of Kohen he is. Obviously, the Eibishter is a Kohen Gadol. Since the Eibishter is a Kohen Gadol, the highest level of a Kohen, therefore the kasha is back. What was the heter for the Eibishter to be matamei himself for Moshe Rabbeinu? Although Moshe Rabbeinu is called a ben, but a Kohen Gadol has a issa to be matamei himself to Krovim. The Kohen Gadol ain't a rishon tamei afil le'echad m'shiva meisim. A Kohen Gadol doesn't have a heter to be matamei himself to any of the Krovim. So it's hadra kushra duchta. This is the paradig of Tosfos, frek the Kohen de Yoir. How could Tosfos answer the heter was because we are called bonim lamakoim, bonim atem la'Hashem elekechem? It doesn't answer because the Eibishter is a Kohen Gadol. Zok the Heilige Zera Shimshon. I would like to understand the Tosfos as follows. Listen to this geonis. Ubir divreim lechoirahu. The answer is as follows. The Gemara says in Masechta Soita Daf Yud Dalet. Mipnei ma nistate kivroi shel Moshe me'einei bnei Adam. Why was it that when the Eibishter buried Moshe Rabbeinu, it was done in a discreet manner? Until today, we don't know where Moshe Rabbeinu is buried. Why is that? Says the Gemara, the Eibishter knew there's got to be a Chorm Beis Hamikdash. And there will be an exile. Klal Yisrael will have to leave Eretz Yisrael. If we will know where the cave of Moshe Rabbeinu is, we will come to the cave of Moshe, and we will daven, and we will beg, we will beseech, and we will be overturn the Zera. Nifla digger shtickle Gemara. The Eibishter had to conceal the cave of Moshe Rabbeinu, because if not, we would have gone to the cave of Moshe Rabbeinu, would have made a minion filler over there, and we would have poured our hearts out, and in such a place, it would have been Ma'or Moshe Rabbeinu to overturn the Xeris Golos, and the Xeris Golos had to happen. Therefore, the Eibishter had to hide where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. This is a Mordig Chizuk in the end of going to Makoimus Agdoshim. We go to Kivrei Avos, we go to Kivrei Tzadikim. This place is a tremendous Mokoim of Eitz Rotzain. This can overturn Gezeris. Chassidim said you can go to the cave for our person, or you can learn the Sefer. We don't know where the cave of the Zera Shimshon is, but learning a shtickle is also a beginner of the Mishtateach al Kivroi, as if you state in Yoir. Going to the kever, or maybe even learning a shtickle, is so powerful that it can overturn Gezeres. That was just in parentheses. Vatam explains the Zera Shimshon. Why was the Eibishter so worried that we shouldn't overturn the Gezeres Golus? Because the Gemara says, Mizmor la'asaf. The pasuk, when it talks about the Churban Beis Hamikdash, it refers to it as a song. Frag the Gemara, Kina la'asaf v'boile. We should lament the fact that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Ela lefisha shafach hamas ha'leitz v'lavonim. Churban Beis Hamikdash was a bracha in disguise, that the Eibishter managed to, so to speak, pour out his wrath on eitzim avonim, on sticks and stones, and through that, Klal Yisrael was saved. V'oid, another reason why Golus is so important. Shagolus to Yisrael, where's a Gehenna? We redeem Gehenna by going to Golus. From like Hoya Golus, Hoy Mesev Noichlim Gehenna Kanoida. Going to Golus had two upsides. Shvichorm Beis Hamikdash has an upside. Number one, that we're going to Golus and we weren't Chas v'Shalom punished ourselves. Number two, that redeems the punishment of Gehenna that's way harsher. In Cain, adds Zera Shimshon, mitzvah Rabbi Hila has the kivrei of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why we have to hide the cave of Moshe Rabbeinu in order to ensure that we should go to Golus, and that will ensure that Klal Yisrael won't be lost, and that will ensure that we won't have to go to Gehenna. So how did the Eibishter do this? The only way to do this was through the fact that the Eibishter b'chvoida v'atzmai buried Moshe Rabbeinu. If you'd have a Chevra Kedisha do that, then it would get known. People will find out where it was done. So the reason why the Eibishter had to bury Moshe Rabbeinu himself was in order to save Klal Yisrael. The Eibishter had to kavayachol be over the Isser of a Kohen v'Matame, because L'Hatzeles Yisrael shenikras mitzvah derabim or pikuach nefesh nami. We have another heta. What the heta was for the Eibishter to matamer himself to bury Moshe Rabbeinu was the heta pikuach nefesh. Because if the Eibishter wouldn't bury Moshe Rabbeinu, then Klal Yisrael will daven out the keva, because we will know the whereabouts of his tzion, and then Klal Yisrael will have to be punished themselves, and that would cause Chas v'Shalom the Eibishter will have to be shoifech hamasai on Klal Yisrael. So mitzad the heta pikuach nefesh, it was mutter for the Eibishter to be metame. So over yikchuli Teruma the Eibishter the Kohen, we had a hetab kuch nefesh, but that's not enough. Ach kosher, damrina on pei kam the Shabbos, ich ayman adam chatei kadei she is kechaveiroi. A person is not allowed to sin in order to save somebody else. Frag Toisvus, is that the klal? I'm not allowed to aveira to save somebody else. We find in the Gemara people did small aveiras in order to save themselves a bigger aveirus. The tirtzu dafke hecha the Parsha rishon. The Gemara there's talk about a case that when Reuven put a dough into the oven on Shabbos. Now, if I'm going to leave the dough over there, then Reuven's going to be chayiv skila. He's going to be chayiv the issa of afiyah on Shabbos. I have a solution. I could peel off that dough before it bakes. Says the Gemara, don't do that. You shouldn't do aveira to save the other person from a more severe aveira. Says Tosfos, that's only in a case when the person that put the dough there did an aveira. He did a pshia. He was reckless. He is responsible. You don't sin, even a small aveira, to save him when he, with his negligence or with his pshia, caused this to happen. That's one answer. The second answer was mitzvah de Rabbim shiny. Rabbim's different. Says the Zera Shimshon. If you hold that Rabbim's different than Moshe, the Eibishter, the Heta, so to speak, to Metame. The teretz hasheni the Parsha. But if you go with the second teretz, when people are negligent, then you don't have the Heta to do an Aveira. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu lava lav dekuna. Klal Yisrael sinned. In the first Beis Hamikdash, we did the Shalosh Aveiros Chamuros. Second Beis Hamikdash, sinners chinam. What was the heta, if so, for the Eibishter to be metamer himself to save Klal Yisrael? Lahoyla Kadosh Baruch Hu Lavra Lav Dekuna Shul Zakis Yisrael Sharei Heim Pashu V'Chatu. They sinned and they were Pesheya. ve'ein oimrim chatei b'shvil sheyiskach haveiroi. As I frag the Zera Shimshon, which is the big chiddush, and if anybody understands this piece, I'd like to know what's the connection. Here we're talking about pekuach nefesh. Pekuach nefesh is a different story. Pekuach nefesh is a different heta. And I think the understanding is, if a person causes his own punishment, then it isn't the heta pekuach nefesh. Meaning, we don't say that the person that put the dough in the oven, that you're allowed to take it off to save his life. And the Achronim there, Masechta Shabbos, talk about this. Why not? But that's clear. It's not a heta pekuach nefesh. He did it himself. He did a ma'isa that causes him a oynish, that he don't have the heta pekuach nefesh, to say he's going to get killed through Beis, and I want to redeem his chiyuv misa. And that seems to be the answer here in the Zera Shimshon. Here too, Klal Yisrael is sinning, and when you use the heta pekuach nefesh, the Eibush of Shemitame, you can't say that. I think that's the understanding. If anybody has a different pshat, they can let me know. The Tirtzat Tosfos, and that Tosfos means a Mori de Gezach. This was the Kasha Tosfos bothered by. What was the heta for the Eibush to be Metame? Klal Yisrael sinned. Teretz is, since we are called Bonim Atim Hashem Lekeichem, in all situations, we are called sons. The Eibishter never despises us. Ben kach or ben kach krum bonim. Nimtza av eine medaktikim v'noyim pushen negdoi. A father has a feeling of mechila or slicha. There's no such thing. A father has such a close relationship to his son. He feels so close that he doesn't view the son's act as a pshia against him. As the pasuk says, "Karacham av abonim." Therefore, the Eibishter doesn't view the act of Klal Yisrael as a ma'aser pshia, since we have a concept of kol peshuenu techasa ava. The Eibishter loves us unconditionally, so the Eibishter doesn't look at our ma'aser of our aveiros as a pshia. The Eibishter will find justifications. The Eibishter will find the mudes chus, and that's what Tosfos means. Of course, the het of the Eibishter Metame was based on pekuach nefesh. But pekuach nefesh is not a heta if we were posheya. Says Tosfos, the Eibishter doesn't look at us as we are being posheya because we are called bonim. So Tosfos doesn't mean we're called bonim, therefore we are related, and that's the heta to be metame. We are called bonim, and since we are bonim, therefore we're not viewed as being poishim. Since we're not called poishim, therefore the Eibishter has a heta to be metame in order to save us. Dvarim neflaim ad ma'od, and this is the chizuk in Chodesh Adar when Yoir rachmei Shemayim. There was a Gezeras Haman against Klal Yisrael, and at that time Klal Yisrael sinned. Klal Yisrael were posheya. We overturn this Gezerah by bringing back, so to speak, the rachmei Shemayim of Kerachim of Albonim, and in Chodesh Adar, a Chodesh of Vanapachu, we get this level of rachmim, of turning things around by being ma'orei the rachmim of the Eibishter al Ama Yisrael. So the Eibishter helping the schus of the Zera Shimshon Yamad Lanu, the schus of Chodesh Adar Yamad Lanu, and this Chodesh should be bring mapeiches to all the tzaros bechlala beprat and v'schusa agadol yagan aleinu a good Shabbos.